Hello, I'm going to do a list of my top 5 movies of all time that I feel like my favourite top 5 movies. I still haven't got the intro thing down. Jesus Christ. Anyway, let's do it before I lose my mind. I'm going to start from the bottom and go up, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And at number 5, Love, Simon. It came out recently in April of this year, I think, in Ireland at least. It's a story, it's a gay story about a teenage boy who is frightened of coming out, and there are problems. It is a cis white gay movie and we have a lot of those, but I think that for what it is, it's very fun, it's very sweet. It really kind of diverges into gay things in this context that we don't often see, because I think a lot of coming out stories are very like negative and harsh and blah, 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 but I think this was a nice breath of fresh air, to be honest. It's sweet. It's based on a book that I have read. I prefer the book because a lot of book to movie translation changed many aspects of the story, but I really love it. I really love the book and I really love the movie. I prefer the book, but like, I think it's a great movie. Number 4. If you have been here for a long time, you will remember my very sudden but intense Star Trek phase. Basically in 2016 I watched the first 2 reboot movies, and then I got up the next day and went to see the third one in the cinema. So the fourth movie on this list is Star Trek Beyond, which I think is one of the most underrated movies in the last decade, to be honest. It's fun, it's beautiful, it has a really good plot, and the narrative is really tight on it. And it's really interesting and funny, and it has a beautiful kind of set pieces. The CGI is really good, the makeup is amazing, it has Idris Elba, which is always a plus. I say that like that's like a fact. It's a nice, fun, exciting movie. I'm not really hugely into like action movies, and I think in a way this kind of is an action movie, but it's paired with sci-fi, so that might make it better for me. It's just a really fun movie, and it's one of the last movies that Anton Yelchin is in, and I really loved him as an actor. He was in an episode of Criminal Minds like way back, like season 1 or 2. That is one of my favorite episodes to this day, and it's sad that he's gone. He passed away like recently, 2 years, 3 years, 2 years, and it's weird. It's super weird that he's gone. It also honors Leonard Nimoy, who is the original Spock in the original Star Trek series, and he was really beautiful. He was a great like artist and writer, and I think he was a poet and a photographer and all of these things, but his poetry was brilliant from what I've read, and he was a lovely person, so that was, them honoring him is always really nice. That got sad. Why did that get sad? I was really excited. It's a fun movie. Number 3 is The Breakfast Club. In a weird way, I may owe this movie to my existence. Or no, I may owe my existence to this movie, and because my mom and dad went to see it in the cinema when it came out, like 1985 is the year that movie came out, and they went to see it in the cinema. So like, part of me is always like, would I be alive if they hadn't gone on that date together? So it's really weird that I may exist because of this movie, but it's an old movie. It's quite problematic. It has a lot of not so great moments, like it's quite misogynistic, but I think that it's very realistic in its ways. It like a lot of movies that star teenagers or a teen cast have a tendency to feel very fake, very unrealistic, very produced by adults, what adults think teenagers are like. Whereas this movie to me always feels like very real, very much like these are teenagers doing teenager things. And I think maybe that's partially owed to the fact that a lot of it is improv and like just off the cuff, which I think is beautiful, and I think it's so funny, and then also very like gets at your heartstrings sometimes. It has a beautiful soundtrack. I think everything on this list has a beautiful soundtrack. Like the soundtrack and the music used in the movie and the score, really impacts how many of these movies are. And I think that, like, obviously that one song is iconic from The Breakfast Club. Don't you forget about me. Like, I think about that song very often. This is one of my favorite movies because it's just very real, very, very honest in its ways about how people don't want to become their parents and repeat their mistakes and etc. Number 2. If you know me at all, this won't come as a surprise, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Again, this movie is quite problematic. It has kind of misogynistic themes. It is quite transphobic. But I think that for what it is and the time that it came out, at the time it was very revolutionary. We hadn't seen shit like this before. But I do kind of take it with that grain of salt that this is old. And that this was good at its time. We're better now, but it was good at its time. But it's a beautiful movie. Visually, I always think it's amazing and wacky and fun looking. The movie and the soundtrack, the music in the soundtrack is amazing. I put the soundtrack on all the time when I'm doing like my makeup or I'm cleaning or whatever. It's just so catchy. I think it's amazingly acted. I think that it doesn't age well, but I think that it's stood the test of time in kind of how it's a cult phenomenon and how people go to the shows dressed as outfits and how there's still live performances of it. And I really want to go to a screening somewhere with a late night screening with an audience, because something that's a part of the phenomenon is people will shout at the screen or throw things or have props, and I think that that's such an amazing kind of way for audience participation in your own communities, and how like I'll walk into one cinema and it'll be some way, and I'll walk into a different cinema and it'll be a different way, but it's all in the same name of love. And I love that people care about this so much, and I love when people are so passionate about things that it creates a culture. And I think it's such an interesting movie, and it's so funny, and like I rewatch it quite frequently. And number 1 is, you won't be surprised by this, Thor Ragnarok. I decided to limit this list to only having one Marvel movie. And even then this was quite hard, because Thor Ragnarok and The Winter Soldier, Captain America the Winter Soldier, are neck and neck for my first place. Thor Ragnarok usually beats it, but it's like a very slim margin. And the reason that I love this movie so much is it's just so funny. It's so funny and upbeat and colourful, and it's very much a comic book movie, I think, whereas many movies like Captain America is very much rooted in a realism and a grittiness and etc. And this one is just so fucking fantastical and la-di-da and blasé about, like, oh, yeah, it's aliens, it's magic, it's fine. And I think that that's beautiful. And I think that the acting in it is superb. The Hulk is in it. I love the Hulk. Mark Ruffalo is amazing. Chris Hemsworth is amazing. Tessa Thompson is amazing. Tom Hiddleston is amazing. I have had my Loki phase because of this movie. I wasn't interested in Marvel during like 2012 and 2013. Like I wasn't interested in it. So now I'm having my Loki phase, and it is a lot. It's quite overwhelming, and I love Loki so much. But this movie is just so funny and beautiful and well, like, a lot of it is improv, but it comes across as really well written. It does an amazing job of balancing its humor with its emotional core. Like, its emotional core never feels shoved or abrupt or sudden, and I think that it links into the overall Marvel movie very, very well. Like, in a movie that can be, like, with characters like these that can be set elsewhere in the Marvel universe that aren't Earth, it can feel very difficult to make them relevant or really connect them and make the story interesting, whereas this manages to do it completely. And I think maybe that's partially due to, like, the Hulk and Mark Ruffalo and having his character there. But I need to stop gushing about this movie. I just think it's so brilliant. And Taika Waititi is the master director. He actually tweeted an article that declared that Thor Ragnarok was the gayest Marvel movie, and he was very happy about it, and I'm very happy about it. Taika Waititi, I love you. If you're ever watching this for any fucking reason, I love you. I'm gonna go, because I'm not gonna stop talking about it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a fantastic veju. Hopefully I will see you tomorrow, and goodbye.